Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Red Notice. Red Notice is an American action comedy that tells the story of FBI agent John Hartley, who tracks down and arrests a world-renowned art thief named Nolan Booth for attempting to steal a valuable bejeweled egg, only to end up being framed by another art thief for selling it. The Bishop, another art thief, wants to claim 3 bejeweled eggs formerly owned by Cleopatra so that she can sell them and reap all the rewards for herself. This results in Hartley and Booth teaming up so that the former can arrest her and bring her to justice, while the latter can stake his claim as the #1 art thief in the world. Right off the bat, it is immediately apparent as to what kind of movie this is supposed to be. Characters crack jokes, travel across the world, and find themselves involved in dangerous situations. Basically, it's not meant to be taken seriously in the slightest. This concept is a bit of a double-edged sword for me. On one hand, it's great to kick back, relax, and just have a good time without having to think about it too much, but on the other hand, the entertainment factor doesn't always land as well as it should. As per usual with my reviews, I think it's best to take a look at the characters first. Dwayne Johnson does a decent enough job in the lead role, though if I'm being honest, he's pretty much the same as any other action movie he's been in lately. It's just Dwayne Johnson being Dwayne Johnson. He's badass enough to hold his own in the action scenes, and his comedic timing remains as sharp as it was since his days of pro wrestling. Beyond this, there is a little detail given as to why he became an FBI agent regarding his family background, which does add a little more depth beyond him just being an average action hero. At the end of the day, though, his performance really is more or less the same as his other movies in recent years. I'm a big fan of Dwayne Johnson, and he oozes charisma in every movie he's in, so his acting didn't bother me all that much, but it is kind of disappointing that he doesn't attempt to expand his horizons a bit more. Ryan Reynolds as Nolan Booth was another role that felt a bit stereotyped to me. Don't get me wrong, I think he's very talented as an actor and has just as much charisma as Dwayne Johnson, if not more, but again, his performance feels too similar to other movies he's been in lately. He has the same sense of sarcasm and rapid line delivery that you'd come to expect from other movies of his like Deadpool and Free Guy, for example. He's very much the movie's comedic relief in this regard, often more than he should be in my opinion. I think he goes a bit overboard with the amount of jokes he cracks in this movie. There are some moments where Booth's hilarious, like when he chides Hartley for wearing a hairnet when he's bald during a montage, but other times he'll say outrageous lines that feel like they're reaching too hard to be funny. The buddy-buddy relationship between the two is definitely the glue that keeps the story together. I like how the two are always hashing out plans and montages and meetings, going over one step after the next while silly things are happening all around them in the background. There's a running gag between the two supposedly being best friends according to Booth, and Hartley is having none of it at first, but then he starts to warm up to him a bit more over the course of the story. There's a fun dynamic to be found in a person of authority like Hartley being forced to team up with a criminal like Booth in order to catch another criminal like the Bishop. And speaking of Bishop, who's played by Gal Gadot, I think her character was the most unique out of the 3 leads, although I wouldn't say that she's all that deep. She has a playful personality that makes her unique from the average antagonist, almost like she sees her pursuit of the eggs as a game of sorts. Unfortunately, she only appears a small handful of times throughout the movie, and always when it's convenient for the plot. Every time Hartley and Booth get a clue about one of the eggs' locations, Bishop was right there with them. This does make sense later on as more story details are revealed, but it was still annoying to see her villainy reduced to gatekeeping. As I mentioned earlier, this movie knows exactly what it wants to be. It's a stylish action flick with a light sense of humor, coupled with a flair for adventure that takes its characters across the world. In this regard, I appreciate how it doesn't try to be anything else other than that. The production design behind this movie is top-notch. There's a variety of locales that characters visit, each with their own unique set pieces, ranging from breaking out of a Russian prison with a helicopter to breaking and entering a dinner party in Valencia to steal an egg. My favorite action scene involves Hartley brawling on a series of metal scaffoldings while trying to fetch one of the eggs. The camera sways back and forth along with Hartley as he swings from one platform to another, which gives a trippy sense of vertigo, putting us in Hartley's shoes, made more intense by the creative choreography of the action itself. Sometimes, however, the action isn't always the best. There's an over-reliance on computer-generated special effects that can make textures on screen look muddled and thus hard to focus on the action, especially when characters are brawling with each other and moving at a fast pace. One scene, in my opinion, needed to be either refilmed or just cut out of the movie entirely. There's a point in the story where a car chase happens, and the entire scene takes place in the dark with 90% of the shots being filmed in close-ups. It is literally unwatchable, and I am astounded that it made its way into the final cut. Iffy action aside, I do like how it emphasizes a sense of adventure throughout. It's obvious that the filmmakers had a lot of inspiration from film series like Indiana Jones and James Bond, with how extravagant the cities are and how exotic the areas are outside of them. It even goes so far as to have Booth's character whistle the Indiana Jones theme once, which I thought was a nice touch. This being said, it also seems to have carried cliches over from those series and others as well. Bad guys show up after a big discovery is made, spy music plays when the characters have to do a stealth mission, and Booth pretends not to know where one of the eggs is when in fact he does. You've definitely seen any part of this movie at least once in other movies. I can forgive a lack of originality, especially as time goes on when more and more ideas get played out. What matters the most is how the story is executed, which is done adequately in this case, but it's nothing noteworthy either, and as a result the cliches become more bothersome in this respect. Overall, Red Notice is okay, but nothing to write home about, although I don't think it's all that bad contrary to what critics are saying about it. It's just another mediocre action movie in a long line of other mediocre action movies in Dwayne Johnson's catalog. I would recommend this movie more for people who consider themselves fans of Dwayne Johnson's work or fans of old school action adventure flicks, ideally both. If you go into this movie knowing that it's not trying to be anything more than a good time, I think you'll enjoy it. I wish Dwayne Johnson would reach past his comfort zone a bit more as far as his acting roles are concerned, but there's nothing wrong with a movie like this existing. This movie was made for one purpose, which is to entertain its audience, and for better or worse, I did have some fun watching it in the end. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Red Notice. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the British Christmas film, A Boy Called Christmas. Bye bye!